Judith Lewis Herman's Trauma and Recovery, The Aftermath of Violence, From Domestic Abuse to Political Terror, is a landmark work in psychology and psychiatry, widely regarded as one of the most influential texts on trauma. First published in 1992, Herman's book reframed the understanding of trauma by connecting the experiences of survivors of domestic abuse with those of survivors of political terror, war, and captivity. Her central argument is that trauma is not only a personal psychological wound, but also a social and political issue requiring recognition, justice, and collective healing. The book begins with Herman's central thesis: recovery from trauma is possible, but it requires safety, remembrance, and reconnection. She insists that trauma shatters trust, isolates survivors, and silences voices, but healing can occur when survivors are supported, validated, and empowered. Her narrative is infused with compassion and rigor, seeking to capture both the devastation of trauma and the pathways to recovery. A central theme of the book is the universality of trauma across contexts. Herman explains how survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse share common experiences with survivors of political terror, torture, and war. She shows how trauma disrupts memory, identity, and relationships, creating symptoms such as hypervigilance, dissociation, and despair. Her reflections highlight the paradox of trauma. It is both deeply personal and profoundly political. The narrative is enriched with vivid case studies and historical analysis. Herman recounts stories of survivors who struggled with silence, shame, and stigma. She describes how trauma was historically ignored or minimized, particularly in cases of women and children, and how political violence was often dismissed as collateral damage. Her storytelling blends clinical detail with social critique, ensuring that readers grasp both the psychological and cultural dimensions of trauma. Herman also explores the broader context of psychiatry and society. She reflects on how trauma was marginalized in medical discourse, often dismissed as hysteria or weakness. Her narrative shows how feminist movements and human rights activism helped bring trauma into public consciousness, insisting that survivors deserve recognition and justice. Stylistically, Herman writes with clarity and authority. Her prose is accessible, blending clinical expertise with narrative storytelling. She avoids jargon, ensuring that her message resonates with readers of all backgrounds. Her tone is empathetic and validating, inviting readers to see trauma not as a private shame, but as a collective issue. The climax of the book lies in Herman's portrayal of recovery. She outlines a three-stage model: establishing safety, reconstructing the trauma story, and reconnecting with community. She insists that recovery is not about erasing trauma, but about integrating it into a renewed sense of self. Her portrayal is both sobering and inspiring, affirming her central message, that healing is possible, but it requires recognition, justice, and connection. In resolution, Trauma and Recovery affirms Herman's reputation as a pioneering psychiatrist and compassionate advocate. Her book is both a clinical manual and a manifesto, offering readers a framework for understanding trauma and fostering healing. For readers, the book is both heartbreaking and empowering. It challenges assumptions about trauma, provides insight into the resilience of survivors, and offers hope for those seeking to heal. Whether you are drawn to psychology, feminism, or human rights, Herman's work is essential reading.